here in California. It's a lot like how we cover all these wildfires. It's always like visually stunning, but you could almost air the same story each time. And like the same language, like the burned out homes, or the same speech again and again, the story about Hillary flipping pancakes again. It's easy to get jaded. Since I started as a fact checker, a job that doesn't exist anymore, I wanted to do stories that would make my mom cry in Ohio at the end of the day. 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the tsunami in Asia, to how to show death and devastation on that level when I'd never even seen a dead body before. I don't do those kinds of stories anymore. Like this week I'm interviewing Miley in Orlando at the Billboard Awards. I know people have always been hemming and hawing about the decline of network news. And it's true, there's still a legal team, but their main concern isn't accuracy, it's not getting sued. We have all these brilliant 22-year-olds who, well, we pitch them like an interview with Carol Burnett, and they're like, who is that? But they're good at Snapchat and demographics and what women want to see. And they love weather for some reason. Those women in the Midwest between 54 and 70 and caught on tape in 911 calls like those terrible tornadoes in Oklahoma. They released the 911 tapes. They don't really move the story forward, but they love 911 calls, so we pitched them, and we pitched weather and caught on tape to drive up ratings. So when Trump showed up with his Mar-a-Lago ratings juggernaut of tackiness at the debates, it was the first time I'd ever seen the entertainment shows like Entertainment Tonight show up for the Republican debates like paparazzi and like pushing and shoving. I'd never seen anything like it in the spin room before. And one girl who worked for us covering Jeb Bush, she was like literally run over by like the fanatic craziness when Trump came in the room. And now the conventions were anticipating so much protest, we've added a whole team in case stuff gets really crazy. And it's funny to think about the debates the last time around with Mitt Romney, how quaint it all seems. Like, how can we ever go back to someone like that? Who am I voting for? I mean, we're just so trained not to make our feelings known, but I am. I'm for the practical. I am for Hillary. I mean, I appreciate Bernie Sanders and would vote for him if he were the nominee, but I think that I am for Hillary, and Hillary is not so good. She needs help. I'm in news, so I have to appear impartial. But when a friend posts on Facebook, I, for one, am excited to see a female president, and everyone you know gets in line and starts skewering that person on their computers and phones. I mean, now even the idea that people could sit down at 6:30 every day to watch the stories that made my mom cry in Ohio seems pretty antiquated. When 9/11 happened, I wanted to hear Peter Jennings, Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw. I wanted a voice of God. When are we going to come together? I thought we'd come together by now, but you know, for better or worse, Trump's made people watch and participate and think and talk. Water cooler moments, I mean, I don't think there were any water cooler moments after Rick Santorum had a zinger. And it's scary, but the only thing you see as a beacon of hope is at least people are paying attention. And this is the last. This is an interview in Arizona last month. I guess he says. I grew up in Texas, you know, it's hot and it's humid, and it's a pretty conservative place. We were a solid Republican family. Mom's evangelical Christian, Dad's Ukrainian Catholic. So like we were forced to go to church for 4 hours every Sunday, and Dad would lay in the backyard and sunbathe. When I came out, my father was very supportive, but my mother was not, and it took a long time. But you know, I still love my mother, and I've come to feel a compassion for the way she believes, but it's been a long process. But you know, it could have been worse, but it definitely wasn't easy. It's a really long, difficult process. I got into porn, I think I was 21. Because, you know, after college, I'd taken out a shit ton of loans, and there was no possible way on earth I could ever pay it back. But, you know, education shouldn't only belong to the rich. So, like, fuck it, I took out some loans, and I started doing porn. But the problem with porn, it's a big corporation. They just need content, you know what I mean. And you know, I'm older, I'm not necessarily getting offered as much work. And it's not like there's, you know, a retirement plan. And it's not like they put models on a healthcare plan so they could get Truvada or, you know, make an effort to protect their lives or their health because it's too expensive. But it's like, it's my only source of income, really, so yeah. I mean, there are worse ways to make money. So my project to film sex in every state in America, well, the inspiration partly was practical. I'd been evicted from my apartment that I'd lived in for 10 years, and I had all this stuff and really no money, so I gave away every single thing that I owned, like shoes, socks, glasses, everything gone. So the project was a way to have fun, see the country, but also try to provide content to allow people to participate in this process with me. You know, I love road trips and travel, and I'm homeless. So why not make the best of it? You know, the easiest states to find people to have sex with were red states, you know, like Kentucky, Oklahoma. I'd call myself far left, maybe anarcho-socialist. I think that America's in really bad shape, and it's getting to a point where it's no longer sustainable. I mean, like, what kind of world are we creating here? What kind of country are we creating? And God, the infrastructure is falling apart, and people are hurting, cause like the Democratic Party's not good for people, and the Republican Party's the same. And when you have politics driven by outright corruption, for decades it catches up with you. And what I worry about is the next 30 years. Global warming is gonna devastate the planet. It's gonna be incredibly difficult to maintain order, to maintain the kind of government we maintained in the past. And of course, someone on the left, I would like to see the best possible version of these politics realized before it's too late. I mean, just to frame everything, you have to remember what happened with Bernie Sanders. The Democratic Party could have decided, hey, we have this candidate who's pretty damn popular, who's pretty progressive. And instead they decided to stop that process. There is simply to say, there's no hope. They don't believe in progressive politics. They don't believe in economic mobility. They don't believe in helping poor and working class people. They believe in war and not being honest. And so I'm fed up. I'm like, anything we can destroy, it's a good thing. So I'm honestly more on the side of the Donald Trump supporters. So that's maybe the silver lining in this election cycle, that people get used to this authoritarian figure who might be the wrong kind, the Donald Trump kind, and see what kind of rule is like, and like, you know, ask for a better version of it. Because honestly, after the election, Michael, can you see a way forward that's positive, Michael, when you imagine the future? Aren't there whole parts of the earth that are uninhabitable? Are we going to be this callous nation that lets people starve to death? But where are all of these people gonna go, Michael? You'll want to protect yourself, because that's what people's instincts are. Can you see their party getting us through these crises? Because that is the future we face, and you know it's gonna be pretty horrible here. Don't you think that too when you think about it at all? Don't you? Don't you? I'm probably not gonna vote. But one thing I think I have going on, in my favor at least, at this point in my life, is this whole network of really beautiful human beings, people who will be there for me, who have been there for me, and yeah, that's my only hope. I don't think, that it's a big hope, but like that is my salvation, I think, for me in the future. Like for people to work less and travel the country and not have a lot of possessions. And eat good food and see natural wonders and incredible cultures you didn't know existed. I mean, that's what we should all be doing. And so I think part of it is just to live out that fantasy and make it real for myself and make it real for anyone else who wants to tag along. Like if we can imagine a world like that and can work towards a means to get there. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you.